Hi there. Join me for a fun idea on creating bold but simple memory keeping layouts using Altenew's Cardstock and some of the newest releases. So see you in a bit. Hi there, and welcome to a new episode of Inspired by a Card with Natalie. Today we're going to be working with actually a few elements to create a bold and simple memory keeping layout. The inspiration comes from this card from Mumu's Papyrology from the latest release, and she used, I'm going to say either watercolor or markers to create her background in a square shape. I am going to use Crafty Necessities Cardstock, but I'm going to pull out the colors based on her card. So I have pulled shades of, cardstock in shades of Pastel, Sunrise, Blush. I have, let me just make sure that I give you the right order. We have Pastel, Sunrise, Blush, Coral Berry, Rubellite, Puffy Heart, Berrylicious, and finishing with Acai Berry. So I went through all the cardstock, and I am using the Essential Sentiments die set to actually create little strips of paper. So these little strips of paper are around 1/4 of an inch in height and 2 1/4 inches in length. So all I'm going to do is just cut each one of the pieces of the cardstock to create my little strips. I keeping them in that order. You're gonna see that I have them all set up. Now I need to cut the base where I'm going to glue this, and I want to follow the color formation that I see in the card. So I went ahead and cut squares of 2 1/4 inches for this, because remember my little strips are 2 1/4 inches in width, so I need to cut a square that's 2 1/4 inch in sizes. Once I have that, I'm gonna put ultra sticky tape on my square. This is just white cardstock, and I'm gonna start working on setting up the squares. So the formation again of the cardstock, you're gonna see I'm gonna start with Pastel, Sunrise, then Blush, then Coral Berry, Rubellite, then Puffy Heart, Berrylicious, finishing in Acai Berry. Now, the card is A2 card, so she has a square. I'm gonna say around 3 1/4 inches. I have a memory keeping layout that is almost around 7 inches in width. And the formation that I created with my paper strips is just a little bit thicker that I couldn't reach all the colors. So my idea was blow up the square. So I am going to use, to create the colors that she has in that square, I'm going to use 4 of the squares that I'm creating right now. So I'm gonna, how I set up the colors going from the Pastel, Sunrise to the Acai Berry. I'm going to repeat that twice, and then I'm gonna do it the opposite way, starting with, going before I started from the bottom with Pastel, Sunrise, went all the way up to Acai Berry, and I trimmed the excess. On the other one, I'm going to do the opposite. I am going to start at the bottom with Acai Berry and then go all the way to Pastel, Sunrise, and then trim the excess. So it took me some time. I actually think that I did all of the paper strips just because I didn't want to have any extras hanging around, and you're gonna see that I'm actually going to use it. So all I'm making sure is that any excess of the strips in the square, I trim it off. I want to keep the quality of the square for my layout. That's what caught my eye. It's just like the geometric shape of it with the lines of color. So I have this large photo of my family. It's actually a 5 inches by 8.5. So I want to make sure that I match it on size. I am using vellum. This is just translucent vellum. And the reason I'm using it is because it's going to give me that translucency on the paper. It's not going to take away from the background, but it's going to help me line everything up. So the important thing right now is I am using removable tape to attach my squares. Once I've attached them, I'm going to trim my vellum to size. Because like I said, remember, I'm trying to keep the square. And the excess vellum, I am going to glue it to the right of the picture. I am going to elongate the design of the picture because I need to bring some of that color onto the other side. So my choice is to trim those extra squares that I created in half and just create a strip of color on the right hand side of the picture. So I'm gluing it onto the vellum, and then I'm going to glue the back of the picture to the piece of vellum. Now I have the two sides that match in a way. Once I have that ready, you're going to see that I'm going to set it aside. And another thing that I love about the card is the fact that she used the new Decorative motifs, stamps in to actually bring like interest to the square. So I'm gonna go ahead and actually use my stamp wheel and Obsidian Pigment Ink and the same stamp set to create 3 images. I'm gonna create one of the large one and 2 of the smaller ones using my stamp wheel too. Once I have that, I am actually going to take it outside of the camera and fussy cut the images. There's no coordinating die for this, so I needed to cut off my images. But once I did that, I actually using my my comfy cut craft knife to actually trim anything like, all the extra pieces of white or negative area inside of the flowers. I want to kind of really detail them. Once I have them all ready, I am actually going to glue them onto the square and also onto the picture. I want to create kind of like something that's going to pull your eye through the entire layout. My way of tying it all together. So I'm going to add one on the top left corner of the square that I created with the paper strips, one at the bottom right corner of those paper strips, and one of the bottom right corner of my picture. So you're going to see that I create a diagonal line, and I'm cutting the excess because I want to have those nice clean edges just like in the card. Now you're going to see that one of the beauties of working with repositionable tape is that I'm able to actually, once I glue the flower in place with like permanent tape, I'm able to take out the squares and trim around them. So I'm trying to keep like that square shape the best way that I can. So once I take it out, the squares, just trim the excess, I'm going to use the grid on my cutting mat to help me put it all back together. So again, the key here was just keeping it nice and clean. You're going to see that from the top left corner of my little square formation of paper strips, I'm going to keep it nice and clean. But on the bottom right of that square, I'm actually going to keep the flower elongated a little bit outside of the square because I need to tie the journaling and the title to my layout. So by elongating that design, I'm just kind of bringing it all together, kind of creating a guiding line. You're gonna see that your eye is gonna pop from the flower to the other flower to the title, kind of guiding your eye through it. So once I have that, the extra leaves that I had, I just kind of added them to the right of next to the picture just to bulk up that cluster a little bit. Once I have that, I'm going to go ahead and secure the vellum to my paper. I am adding permanent tape to the back of the cardstock, like, the area that is covered by the cardstock, so I can glue it onto my piece of paper. And then I went into the essential sentiments. I used the press plate, but instead of, I actually foil with it. So I went and cut some of the sentiments, and I'm going to cut my sentiments to make sense for my layout. I'm not afraid of that. So I'm going to put the hello friend at the bottom right corner of the picture. And then I'm going to cut the word happy and the word love from some of the sentiments. And I'm going to add it to the top left square and also to the bottom right square. Once I have that in place, and pretty much my layout is done. I don't want to add much more. Like I said, I want to keep it bold but simple. So I thought by going with small sentiments that add in a little bit of shine, it just brings enough of interest. I want your eye to be caught by the contrast of all that color and the black and white picture. So all I did outside of the camera, it's add a title using some puffy authors from my stash, and then I just printed my lines of journal and glued them onto my layout. And that's about it. I love how this turned out. Seriously, it took no time to put together. I love the contrast. I love the look of it. And I hope you enjoy it. As always, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact me. You can check more details on the blog. And as always, thank you for joining me. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more beautiful content. And I hope to see you soon. Take care, guys.
Hey there, Lydia here. I really do hope that you've just enjoyed the video. If so, please subscribe to the Altenew YouTube channel. Also, turn on the notification bell so you can get your daily dose of crafty techniques and tutorials just like this. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.